Welcome to the Podcaster's Guide to a Visible Voice. Reveal and define your voice to speak your truth through the power of podcasting. And I'm your host, Mary Chan.
So let's go.
Hello and welcome to episode 10. Honor yourself because September is the new January. Here on the west coast of Canada, where I am, the weather is turning. Leaves are changing color. And as I am recording this behind the mic, I am decked out in my hand-knitted goods. I got a cardigan, shawl, some hand-knit socks. It's one of my favorite times of the year because I can bring back all my cozy, woolly comforts. And plus, this is the first year my kiddo is going to kindergarten. Oh, they grow up so fast. It really is true what they say. And so because she's going to kindergarten, it takes me back to when I would head back to school. Think about that. When you went back to school yourself, how did that feel? What was it like in the air? That feeling of a fresh start, renewed interests, and taking stock of what's important for the rest of the year. With that in mind, if you haven't started your podcast yet, and I'm still wandering around the internet doing research, let me help you by telling you to stop that research process. The only way to get that podcast launched is to take action now. And you've already got me here. So here's a reminder that I'll have a couple of extra spots open this month for you to launch your podcast. You can enroll in my 12-week one-to-one program that will take the overwhelm of starting a podcast, and you get to pick my brain every week on all things podcast. Head over to my website, organizesound.ca, and let's schedule a complimentary 30-minute strategy session to chat about how you can launch your podcast before the end of 2020. Yeah, stop doing the research and start taking action to get your podcast launched. How does that sound? Yeah? So for today's episode, I want you to be the truth of who you are. What would it look like to you at the end of 2020? It definitely has been a very tumultuous year. So what is challenging you right now in your podcasting game? But also, what is lifting you up? What needs to shift as we turn into the fall season in the Northern Hemisphere or spring in the Southern Hemisphere? We all know January is a time to review, renew, and shift ideas, setting new goals, and planning out what the next 12 months would look like. Or maybe you're one of those people who loves to create New Year's resolutions. But that's all for January, those resolutions, right? Or could we do them now? September has all those same qualities. I would dare to say even more so than that arbitrary calendar date of January 1st. January is tough, with winter still in our bones and all that post-holiday exhaustion. So that's why I say September is the new January. This is the time of year for a return to our routines. And even though this September, as 2020 is no ordinary September, we still have a bit of routine in our lives, or at least we can get some. So back to my first question. What would it look like to you at the end of 2020? What will be different or challenging that would hinder your podcast? These don't have to be big, sweeping changes. Small things build up to make lasting impressions. Perhaps you want to alter the steps it takes to publish an episode. Maybe you want to create your social media posts right after you record your episode. Or maybe you start batch processing all your recordings instead. Now is the time to honor yourself and review what's been going on in the past few months to see what needs to shift for the future. Take steps to honor yourself, to boost your happiness. How can you add fun and play to your podcasting journey? I believe that you've always got to have a bit of fun in everything you do. So, have you got any ideas? Let's take a step back. Remember episode 5? In episode 5, called Unlocking Barriers to Create Content for a Podcast, I showed you how to start generating ideas for your podcast by using my brain dump technique first. So if you haven't heard the episode yet, it's in the show notes for you to go back to. But the essential idea is that you are going to create a document or grab a notebook and pen and paper and jot down all your ideas. There's no erasing any ideas along the way. Your brain is always full of ideas, so I want you to dump it all down to create a flow of ideas. Don't scratch anything out, just keep writing idea after idea after idea. This is your creative brain at work. So go ahead, hit pause on this episode, write down how you can add more fun and play to your podcasting journey. What will the end of 2020 look like for your show? So how was that? What did you come up with? Take a look at your list and see what jumps out. Remember, we don't have to do big, sweeping changes. So if your list looks daunting to you, how can you break that down even further? Is there one small action you see on your list that you can take now to move an idea forward? What can you shift now to honor where you are in your journey? Perhaps it's being more personable in your voice. Would you be able to smile more when you're behind the mic? Have you wanted to get more episodes recorded, but you're not ready? Maybe you want to move your mic and your recording location from your office to a spare bedroom. Go ahead, move your mic there right now. I'll wait. Just hit that pause button again. Honoring yourself can mean a lot of different things. For me, in this season, as my daughter started kindergarten this month, I'm here to be with her, and my podcast and a bit of my podcasting business will take the passenger seat for the next week or two. Because she's great at expressing her emotions, and she has some big ones that might creep up again in the next week. First day of drop-off wasn't that much of a success, if you know what I mean. So think about that for yourself, too. Be aware of your own surroundings. Be mindful of what other commitments you have in your calendar, to people, to your community. Being mindful, and again for me, also means that I know I have editing skills. That's my radio background coming to work, to continually and easily publish episodes every week, for me. When I started this podcast, I wanted to publish every other week to give myself some breathing room. But I also wanted to commit to this and challenge myself like I do with some of my clients. So I took action and decided for myself that it's going to be a weekly show after all. That was my initial goal anyway, so why not challenge myself to do that? However, having said that, it doesn't mean that the world will fall apart if I miss a week or an episode. Hey, did you even notice that I was a few hours later than I normally would publish an episode last week? Yeah, episode 9 was a couple hours late. But no, I'm pretty sure you didn't even notice until I just told you right now. I'm honoring myself to publish every week, but giving myself grace if it's not going to happen on my predetermined schedule. I created that schedule, so I can't break it if I need to. I gave myself a specific schedule for every single week because I knew I'd need it for the long haul. But knowing in myself that I am human, schedules can be changed. Podcasting is great for that flexibility, so keep in mind that it's your show and you call the shots. So what does podcasting success look like to you for for the rest of the year. Share your thoughts with me over on Instagram. You can find me at Organized Sound Productions. I'd love to hear what your big goals or tiny shifts will be. Thank you so much for listening to the Podcaster's Guide to a Visible Voice. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you'd share it with a podcasting friend. And to reveal more voicing and podcasting tips, click on over to visiblevoicepodcast.com. Until next time.